KT McFarland's on the line. She's a Fox News national security analyst, an all-around good person. KT, how are you?
Great. Happy Turkey to you.
Yeah, happy Turkey Day to you, too. I want to start out with this story about U.S. warplanes, B-52s, which I think is fascinating. The plane was developed in the 1950s, and we're still flying the B-52s. But they apparently flew some B-52s through some airspace that China all of a sudden has decided to declare as its own, and sort of poking the bear a little bit, or what
Dragon,
is?
I think.
Yeah.
Is the one. Yeah.
So tell me, what's going on with all this?
Okay, China has built up put a lot of effort into building up a stronger military, a deep water navy. They spent a lot of money on it, and they feel that that military sort of is an acknowledgement of where China is in the world. You know, we look at China and say developing nation. They look at China and say, look, we've been around for 3,000 years. We've just had a crummy couple of hundred, but we're back. And so what China has done, and not all of China, part of the Chinese leadership, part of the military, et cetera, they've started doing things like new maps, which claim that part of the Pacific Ocean, the Western Pacific, off of China, the eastern coast of China, they've said, well, that's really an internal Chinese lake. That's not really the East China Seas. Well, it's gotten the countries in the region really nervous because the area that you're talking about today is the part that's sort of below South Korea, above Taiwan. It's west of Japan. That's called the East China Sea. And China has now claimed that that is part of China. That's an internal Chinese lake. And so it's a new claim. It's not one they've been able to pull off. It's doubtful they could enforce it now. And so what we've done is we've just flown some B-52s over the area to say, this isn't your internal Chinese lake. This is everybody's waterway.
Now, what's going to happen? Is that going to escalate?
No, I don't think so. We're not sure what the Chinese are all about. You know, some of the sort of my hair is burning on fire. People say, well, the Chinese, this is obviously an indication that they want to go to war with America. This whole military posture of theirs, where they're talking more aggressively, and that's all an indication that China's our new enemy in the new century. Other people have said, well, look, you know, China's now a major world power. Its economy has surpassed ours. They have every right to have a big and large military and naval capacity because it befits a country of their size and wealth. And probably the truth is somewhere in between.
I've heard it said that from some really high-ranking military people that they're spending a lot of money. It's just when we look at it, we can't quite figure out what their strategy is.
Right. Is their strategy to go to war or just prevent us from attacking them? I was in China in June, and it met with some of the senior leadership, and it was pretty clear to me that they realize they have a major economic and demographic and other problems down the road that are going to face them, you know, now and in the next decade. They're not looking to pick a fight. Now, they certainly feel that they should have a better place in the world. They should be more respected. They're a major world player. But it's not clear to me that what they're trying to do is beat the drums and have some kind of a conflict. If you look at Chinese history, they don't go looking to pick fights. On the other hand, they feel that they're the center of the universe.
Yeah. KT McFarland's our guest, Fox News national security analyst, and I read with great interest your article at foxnews.com about the president and John Kerry's Iranian nuclear deal. Your headline, though, says, brace yourself for a Middle Eastern arms race, America. Hold on a second. I've been told by my Secretary of State that this deal makes the world safer. So how can there now be a nuclear arms race? That doesn't sound safe.
No. We've just told the Iranians, if you like your nuclear weapons, you can keep them.
No.
And actually, probably this time we mean it. I think that the secondary effect is not really it's what the people in the Middle East think. It's not what people in Washington think. Is this a good deal? Is this not a good deal? It's what it's what the capitals of Riyadh and Cairo and Istanbul and Jerusalem. It's what they think, because if they look at this deal, which by the way isn't really a final deal yet, it's an interim deal, and apparently even the interim deal hasn't gone into effect.
Can I ask you it's a tangent, but I mean, you've been involved with these kind of negotiations.
This is such a mistake.
What's the purpose of a 6-month agreement? Is that even an agreement?
Well, that's the thing. It's not even an agreement. I mean, I was in the White House the night Henry Kissinger came back from the Vietnam peace negotiations right before the 1972 election and said, peace is at hand. And then the North Vietnamese realized, oh, now we really got them.
Yeah.
Now we can really extract concessions because the peace agreement wasn't completely signed. Well, now it turns out that there, at least according to the Iranians, there are two different versions of this deal. One where the Iranians say it says in the deal we have the right to enrich uranium, and Kerry and others have said they don't have the right to enrich uranium. So that's actually the major part of the agreement. So there's a fundamental misunderstanding of what they're allowed to do in concept. So I'm not sure that this is a done deal at this point, even though it's only to be an interim deal. But to get back, the fact is, if other countries look at this deal and say, look, it really means that Iran becomes a nuclear power, maybe not today, but 6 months from now, a year from now, that they're going to stop just shy of having nuclear weapons. The other countries in the region look at that and say, well, that's a de facto nuclear Iran, and we have to take plans accordingly. And because America's blessed the de facto nuclear Iran, America's not going to be counted on by us to do anything to challenge Iran. So my concern is, in fact, even President Obama's own former proliferation expert said Saudi Arabia's probably already got a couple of nuclear weapons on order from Pakistan.
Well, that's interesting, and it's also interesting that the Israelis and the Saudis now seem to be newfound friends.
Yeah, I mean, if my enemy is my friend, at least for a while. But if you look at the map of the Middle East, what the countries in the region don't want is a nuclear Iran, for sure. But what they really don't want is a powerful Iran which calls all the shots in the Middle East, and an Iran which is a de facto nuclear power and has a resurgent economy, which will happen when the sanctions drop. And this Iran is blessed by not just the United States, but the members of the Security Council. That means that this new Iran, is going to dominate the entire region at the expense of the Sunni Arabs, that's Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, United Emirates, Israel, and probably even, Egypt and Turkey. So they're going to look at this and say, gee, we don't really want to go down this road, so they could well get nuclear weapons of their own. And some of those countries, the Gulf Arab states, money is no object. They can buy them. And countries like Istanbul, Turkey and Egypt, they have a scientific community capable of it. So,
all right. Katie McFarland, we got to roll, but you mentioned turkey there. Speaking of turkey, stuffing or dressing?
I've got 15 people coming. We're doing both.
Oh, look at
there you go.
Nice. See, that's the diplomat in her. Thank you, Katie. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you to you, too.
Our policy is prevention, not containment.